It is Sunday, June 21st, and The Undertaker is officially retired. Justin, how you doing? You okay?
I feel kind of sad, dude. So, like, you knew it was coming, but when it happened, you're like, oh, man.
I mean, you're eating your sorrows away right now. I could tell, and I mean, it's just that's your guy. You've been buying so many figures of this guy, and I mean, last week we kind
Pre that, before that. Bro, I've been ride or die Undertaker since I was, like, after I got over being scared of him.
he's so
So, what is
sad,
that?
he's eating his sorrows away. Your whole life,
1998. So, what, I'm 6 years old?
yeah. I
6 years
mean,
old. I'm 6 years old. I'm 28. So, 22 years of being a fan of Undertaker.
honestly, this episode you could have just uploaded it alone, and it would have been good. Like, you didn't need.
This episode was like the documentary. It was like if Undertaker did a documentary and without the no, if Undertaker did like a documentary, like a 2 hour, like an hour long documentary without the actual series of a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Because they added the documentary points, but they actually went through his whole career kind of and like missed all the gaps that they didn't really cover throughout the last 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it could have been like it could have been a standalone thing, and I think it was just like a lot of people, if you haven't watched it, should just watch this episode if you don't want to watch the entire thing.
I don't know. I feel like you should watch the whole thing. The payoff of this documentary is well worth the watch.
Yeah, of course, but I just feel like if you just want to know, like if you want to know how the story ends, and you don't want to know how this, like you don't want to see the story play out, then this is what you watch.
The funny thing about this whole thing is this was only supposed to be like a WWE 24/7, the retirement of the Undertaker, episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's over. It
Yeah,
wasn't supposed to be this 5-part series.
it would
That's
like
what makes it so good.
the first episode. I remember saying that it should have just ended there. Taker should have just went off into the sunset. But now that we're at episode 5 and kind of like what I thought was going to happen happened, um, if the Undertaker comes back, and I know he said in the documentary, never say never. If Vince needs a bailout, this, that, and the other. If the Undertaker, Mark Calloway, comes back as the Undertaker in any form or fashion on WWE TV, on anything, if he wrestles a match, I give up. I give up on wrestling. I give up on WWE. I give up on Vince. I give up on the Undertaker. I mean, this is it was
This
just
is
so
better than
perfect.
the first send off. This is the all-time classic. They did like a whole 15-minute montage of the Undertaker's whole career at the end of the documentary. I was like, they're showing pictures. They're showing all the pictures that always floats online randomly every couple months, like with the group, like the iconic 97 group of them
Mm-hmm.
hanging out in Tiger's Dead Center. They showed all his best friends pretty much throughout like the whole documentary. Like you forget like even Godfather, Yokozuna, like people don't talk about. It's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Undertaker's been through like all of that. And you know what the funny thing is? People were like, well, when Hulk Hogan came out with the big scandal, everyone's like, oh, Vince is gonna make Flair like the greatest wrestler. But this documentary was like, Taker's like the GOAT, dude.
He's done it all. He's seen it all, and I mean, I don't know. What do you, like overall? Would you just like what are some things that stood out to you during this?
So now I gotta go buy an AJ Styles figure for this Undertaker collection I'm doing. Cause like
They put him
that's
over
like
so huge, AJ.
huh?
They put AJ Styles over so huge in this
Under,
documentary.
Undertaker picking AJ Styles, he put him over like he is the number one wrestler in the world right now. Which personally don't think he is. At one point in like 2015 AJ Styles in New Japan,
Mm-hmm.
2014 AJ Styles in New Japan can't be touched. No one touched AJ Styles IWGP champion. But man, this guy's like, oh, I wish I wrestled AJ Styles 10 years ago. And it's like, man, imagine you wrestled him like 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Five
Undertaker Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31. Imagine Undertaker AJ Styles at WrestleMania 31.
man, I'm in. Let's go back to that and do that, and then he could retire at 31.
Or even
Which, I mean, it
32,
would
AJ
make
Styles,
sense.
Undertaker. Imagine
You
a
know what to do
cell.
at 32, 31.
Wild.
31 makes more sense. Anyway.
Um, the whole documentary is him building up to AJ Styles, him having a match with AJ Styles, everyone putting over AJ Styles. There's no one better to have, like, no better person right now in wrestling to have your last match with against AJ Styles. I don't even know how to talk anymore, dude.
Even Edge
Um,
said it.
like even Edge said he's like, if I would have one more match with AJ Styles, which is a hint that Edge probably is gonna have a match with AJ Styles,
Yeah.
maybe in like a year or so.
Or two. I
Once
think
he
it's like a 3-year contract.
exactly, but like his torn bicep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the whole build of AJ Styles and Undertaker happening is wild. And I remember that Saudi show that happened and everyone was laughing. They made that thing like it seemed like the greatest thing ever. That Undertaker coming out and winning that trophy. By the way, the Undertaker's last championship ever in wrestling will be that stupid trophy.
We don't need to talk about it. Let's instead, if we're talking about lasts for the Undertaker, let's talk about how the last tombstone ever in WWE will be to Carl Anderson.
Oh my god.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
if they
he
ever make
legit,
that montage of all the tombstones ever on YouTube again, they re-update that video. Yeah,
yeah.
Carl Anderson will be the last person ever to
Carl
receive a tomb.
Anderson and Luke Gallows, they legitimately will rest in peace because of the Undertaker. The Undertaker, he like threw them into like back to the independence in New Japan. You know what I mean? Like he buried them so much that they are now out of WWE.
I
Like,
think those drones, I think those druids that they came out with, they just took them to New Japan. Like, oh, you didn't beat the Undertaker, now you're leaving.
yeah,
But
everybody's going to New Japan.
I like I feel like Undertaker thought he was gonna have this match, not like this 5-star classic match, but a good match. It's a great match with AJ Styles at WrestleMania. But like the circumstances of um everything happening in the world and them had to film a boneyard match and then realizing how great this is because it's essentially a movie and actually him realizing how tired and hurt he is in between takes of shooting a pretty much cinematic scene made
Mm-hmm.
him realize probably like, hey, I need to stop. And the sad part of like his brother passing away, I think it seemed like the week of WrestleMania or whenever they filmed that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It
like that's
was
more perspective. It's like all the signs were like, hey, your body, your
your
health,
family.
family, you don't have much time left and everything could go and
Oh,
like
he mentioned
like that.
Kobe too, like that.
Yeah, the
You
Kobe
know.
thing. Yeah, just like you're this big icon and then like, go live a life, You got literally Undertaker's land is literally Death Valley, meaning like he just has this huge friggin' forest acre
Mm-hmm.
of land that is like as far as a drone can fly.
I mean, I was gonna say something, but now I forgot. But I mean, it's weird. Like, I think everyone kind of thought that, Taker would always be around. So for him to have like a legit final stop, um, it's kind of like, okay, like we've been waiting for this. We wanted this to happen. Well, at least I wanted it to happen. But I don't know. Like, I feel like there's always going to be that thing where it's like, oh, well, The Undertaker can come back. But at the end of the day, like I said, if he comes back, gonna be a little disappointed, and it's gonna be Shawn Michaels all over again. Because if this dude comes back in
No, this is
five
even worse than
years,
Shawn. This is worse than Shawn Michaels. Undertaker had a damn documentary about his life.
yeah,
And
that's
literally he
true.
even said if it wasn't for the documentary, he probably wouldn't have retired, essentially. He's like the documentary
Mhm.
helped him retire. Oh
I mean,
man. But I'm
it
watching
all
that.
just works
How
together.
many how Undertaker's not top of all time after watching that? You're like, oh man, this guy went through literally every generation of wrestling,
Hmm.
except for the 80s. He literally started off the 90s and that was it.
He never left.
2020.
He was one of those people that stayed with, one company throughout his entire career. And then the
Um,
one time he tries to go to
let's
another
talk about that
company.
Boneyard match, dude. Because I remember we watched that live, and if you want to watch our live reaction to that Boneyard match, we were marking out like bananas. I feel like.
I was ready to rewatch it after this documentary, but they showed so many clips of it, and they showed pretty much the entire thing, just like chopped up. And I was like, well, man, like that's just it's one of those things where you see like that they had to remake everything, and it was just it was interesting to see the behind the scenes of it all, and them talking about it and then discussing what's going to happen and setting up the shots and resetting and doing it over again or something. I mean, that's what I wanted during that. When we watched that match, the one thing in the back of my head that I was thinking was, I need to see how they made this, because how they made this is like huge and it's going to change everything. And obviously, like the fact that Triple H is like kind of at the top of this all. Obviously, Taker and AJ and stuff like that, but the fact that Triple H is like has a part of this, it's just, I mean, that goes to show you what we're in store for. You know what I mean?
Mhm. I feel like cinematic matches are here to stay. Not every match, but some at least one every once in a while it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. Um, I liked how what was I gonna say again? Damn it. Um, oh, we were marking out so much. I remember like after the match, I literally said this Undertaker AJ Styles had the greatest wrestling match in history, meaning not like the actual in the ring, but like literally this is how wrestling wants to be if they could be if it was able to be done in one take, essentially.
We're making movies.
Exactly. And then Vince literally made like one of the best fight scenes in a
Mm-hmm.
span of like shooting overnight.
Yeah, that was
Um,
pretty crazy. How they were saying that they were there till like 5 in the morning shooting this, and like, I mean, I don't know. It's just they were out all night, and imagine if you like live right next door or something. Like, oh yeah, like what's going on over there? Oh, they got that WWF. Like they're doing like the Undertaker is over there.
it's
Um,
crazy how in 2014, in 1 month, I met AJ Styles Undertaker, and that's what the picture I posted after the Boneyard match, saying Undertaker and AJ Styles had the greatest wrestling match in wrestling history, greatest match in wrestling history, and like that, like if you told me that picture and that picture, oh, they're gonna Undertaker's gonna have the last match with AJ Styles, I'm like, I would laugh in your
mhm.
face, calling you the biggest moron ever.
Well, who did you think Taker would have his final match with? Like, if it was you, other than AJ, who would you pick?
Cinematic, maybe Kane,
Just in general.
maybe Sting. I don't know. With the
Why
cinematic change
Sting?
of the game,
Can I ask why Sting?
because it's like WCW versus WWF. Like
They
the
did
two.
that already.
No, I'm saying like the two characters, like the
The
Sting.
Mystique.
Well, Sting in '97 was like essentially cool Undertaker.
Hmm.
It's like the two mystic characters in either company.
Maybe it's because I just never watched Sting. Um, but like, I don't know. It's just always everyone always said like Undertaker Sting, Undertaker Sting, Undertaker Sting, and it's like, I mean,
Undertaker
yeah,
Sting has been since 1996.
like yeah, I like I'll take it, but I think everybody, especially as like as the years have gone by, I think everybody is expecting you know like in their prime Sting versus in their prime
Okay.
Undertaker.
Like if we ran back 31, we should have done Sting and Undertaker, not Sting Triple H and Undertaker Bray.
And it's just gonna be what's it called, like a Goldberg or a DX and Brothers of Destruction, like you know what I mean, like it's
In ring match, AJ Styles probably would have had a good match with Undertaker. But like there's no way Undertaker could even come close to having like a performance he had in that Boneyard match. So it makes like 1,000% like it makes perfect sense why he would retire off that. And even when he rolled off, it was like, all right, is this it? He's like going home. That's it.
yeah.
Because this is like the one and only storyline ever. Well, not ever, but like as like the Undertaker transitioning to like from Dead Man to American Badass. Because every other storyline of the American Badass, yeah, there was a little bit of like there was one where DDP was stalking his wife and stuff, and like that was like whatever, but like he was like a person. This one was like
Hmm.
a shoot on Undertaker to make the person come back.
Yeah, I like how we mentioned it's kind of like all three characters. You know, him as a person, Undertaker, and like the biker gimmick, like all mixed up to one. You know, for this. And I think the way he was explaining it, it's one of those things where as he was explaining it, I think he was convincing himself that this is a good ending because you have all three coming together. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like after this, like you can go into separate paths, you know, you can go down this or that or the other, but if you end it here, you're good. Because I have a feeling that if he were to do like, you know, a real
Him and AJ had a
match,
match at like SummerSlam. It would not
yeah,
even.
it'd be like, oh man, like you know, last match was him at SummerSlam, but do you remember the WrestleMania Boneyard? So I think that it's good that it ended how it did. And I,
Undertaker ended up in a peak, legit changing WWE wrestling, as in like the cinematic matches for are here
mhm.
to stay.
and
Like really set a bar for like how good these things could be.
I think now, um, what's next for Undertaker? I think next year, if we have normal Mania, he should get inducted to the Hall of Fame, and then that's it. Like, put a bow on top of the Undertaker, and let him go. You know, fish or something. You know what I
I
mean?
always thought if Undertaker would like when Undertaker retired to the Hall of Fame, I would go see him, and I may or may not. But like in my head, I'm like, this is after watching this, I'm like, oh, that was like what he's gonna say more in his speech, you know? Like I
Yeah.
feel like nobody's gonna say like this was like perfect. Like that montage video at the end was like, oh damn, like this is it. And it wasn't even like short; it was long.
hmm Like, the thing with the Hall of Fame is, um, you really have to care about like the Hall of Fame for it to like for you to want to like be there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because like I was there for a little bit and I didn't care about I think it was like Rikishi. I didn't care about the person who put the title in the garbage can. Like it was you know you have to care. So I feel like you know, some like if you knew that it was building up to Undertaker, you'd be like, okay, well, we got Undertaker at the end. But at the end of the day, like the WWE Hall of Fame is just like so weird now, where it's just like a show, and I feel like the show aspect I could just watch from home. Um,
Yeah, true. It's too gimmicky now.
Plus, like for me, on my end, like I miss Shawn Michaels being inducted to the Hall of Fame. So I'm never gonna, you know, be able to go back to that. CM Punk's not gonna happen. And then like
I
I could
like how
see,
your doc he showed all the small guys he liked working with, and
oh
Punk had a
yeah,
little cameo.
yeah, they had Punk, but they didn't show Punk, and you know, they like, yeah, that was funny. Um, and I feel like for Hall of Fame, like if Kevin Owens one day got inducted to the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't like go out of my way to go to the Mania just for it. But if I was in town and if I wasn't doing anything else that day, I'd be like, yeah, like you know, I'll go and go to the Hall of Fame and you know get there late and watch Kevin Owens being inducted to the Hall of Fame. But you know, I don't know
Mhm.
if I can like even though it is the Undertaker or even if it was like you know someone as big as The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin, like I don't or
Austin
Triple
already
H.
won Hall of Fame.
You know what I mean? Like someone that big. Like I just don't care about the Hall of Fame enough anymore for that. So
Gotcha.
I don't know. So anything else about the documentary? Because I honestly like I thought about it and I was watching it and I saw that it was an hour and 10 and I was like I could sit here and take notes and like talk about you know this that and the other. But honestly, I think once it wraps up and once it ends, you're more thinking about Undertaker as a whole than you are about this documentary you just watched.
Yeah, you're thinking about like all the times that you like seen him live, all the like random moments. You're
Do
not
you have
thinking
like a
about like, oh,
do you have a
what?
favorite Undertaker moment?
I could rhyme off a ton. Boiler Room Brawl was that '96 SummerSlam. Hell in a Cell, obviously. Taker Kane, at 20 and at 14. Um, him and Austin SummerSlam '98. I don't know. I could go on all day.
Yeah, I don't know. I just you know wasn't sure. Like, what about in person moments?
Um, I don't know, because every time I've seen it in person, it was like, um, Flair and Taker, which I was like younger, but I don't know. I don't remember as much. I
Hmm.
remember him and JBL in a match at SummerSlam '04, where if you ever watched that match or remember that match, he gets DQ'd and then choke slams him through the roof of his limo. But a fan jumped the barricade and started dancing on that limo and fell through it, but it wasn't shot on camera.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So yeah. What else was that? What else have I seen Taker for? I've seen him at. I wish I was at 28. 28 would have been the one to go to.
Hmm.
30, I was there, which is like
30, it's weird. Like as a Taker fan, it's weird to say like, "Oh, I was there for the streak ending," but at the end of the day, you were there for the streak ending. That's like, that's like the second biggest Undertaker moment. You know, like,
I think that's like the biggest Undertaker moment. Him
well, you know what
losing.
I mean. Like him retiring, like to be there for his final match would be like number one, but obviously that can't happen.
No
So
one, no one's there. But like
yeah,
Undertaker losing the streak. I remember after Mania when we thought about it, we're like, it's Hogan turning heel and then Undertaker losing the streak. Like,
Mhm.
there's nothing like those two are like the biggest things people remember the most. That's like shocking moments in time.
And I would say even like, I think as of right now where we stand, Undertaker, like because of this generation, Undertaker is more important to people. Like the older
Yeah,
generation, like oh Hogan, whatever, turning heel, whatever. But right now, me couldn't care one heck of a less about Hulk Hogan.
so
That
Taker's
guy,
streak
that
like
guy
the
can go in the trash can for all I
biggest
care.
thing that ever happened in wrestling.
Yeah, but Undertaker? Let me tell you about the Undertaker streak. When I was watching it, it was the first network WrestleMania. And I was sitting there in a dark room, and my dad came in for the last few minutes, and I was like, "Oh yeah, like Undertaker, like it's a streak, it's Brock Lesnar." And he was like, "Oh okay," and then Brock Lesnar hit him with the F5. He goes for the one, the two. When that was the longest three of all time, and I remember saying like, "Oh, he's gonna kick out." When that three hit the mat, I mean, it was just like, like the world stopped. Like the world
You
stopped, and it
didn't
was like, my
you didn't
God,
trust your eyes for a second.
no. Did they
You're like,
screw up?
am I dying?
Yeah.
Is
Like,
this real?
what happened?
Did
Because,
my
you know,
eyes fuck up? Did I go blind for a second? Did I
mm-hmm.
hear something?
Because
The
then
ref
from there, it's
the
like, oh
ref
man,
did the ref fall?
yeah, like you didn't know what happened. And that's why that's one of those things where no matter what you were doing, no matter if you were a fan still, if you were a fan back in the day, if you were, a diehard fan, everybody like knew what they were doing when the Undertaker's streak ended at WrestleMania.
If I probably told this story many times where we went back and rewatched that end of that match because we were like, that didn't actually happen, did it? And we were there.
Yeah, you got to pinch yourself.
We were all
Big Cat
there.
was
We
there
saw. I
too.
have pictures. We were there. I
Yeah,
have video of it happening live.
that's crazy. I don't know. The only Undertaker in person moment I have was Night of Champions 2010, my first pay per view that I ever went to. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of stuff on that show, but the one of the things was Undertaker versus Kane for the World Heavyweight Championship, no holds barred match. And I remember the match like starting up by the stage, and just the fact that I got to see Undertaker versus Kane, especially in a world title match, like that's always one of those like, like that was the chair. Like the chair was like Kane holding the world
Okay,
title.
yeah, I remember that. I remember that pay-per-view post too.
Yeah, and the event shirt. I remember like every time I see, like at this one of the Chicago shows, like I see someone wearing that Undertaker and Kane shirt. So that's
Hmm.
it's always a big thing, and I'm glad that I have that because Oh, okay, never mind. Hello, WrestleMania 31, Bray Wyatt, Undertaker, but I was like a mile away. So to see Undertaker at WrestleMania and to see Undertaker versus Kane is the only two moments, but also honestly
It's
the
pretty
only
good.
moments that I need. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's that. Undertaker. He's retired. It's over. He retired before John Cena. Who would have thought? Not me.
What are you talking about? He retired before John Cena. Like John
I
Cena's been
thought
in the business way shorter.
I thought Undertaker would be around doing matches like way after Cena. I thought Cena was gonna like pull a rock and like just straight up just like he's retired, but he's not saying he's retired because I still think I could see Cena on Raw tomorrow. So
Isn't it crazy? Cena said that him disappearing from the Firefly Funhouse might be his last thing in wrestling.
yeah, um, yeah. I mean, I don't know what I think about that, but that's another podcast for another day. So
Right. On that
that's
note,
it.
Undertaker retired. No more.
Undertaker
He
is
is
done.
in his farm in Death Valley, aka Texas,
Do you
somewhere.
think his figures will go up now because there might not ever be another Undertaker
Oh yeah.
wrestling
No,
figure?
wait, WWE's never gonna make another Undertaker figure for like the
Did you
next
see
15 years.
this Mark Calloway shirt they have on shop?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Terrible.
that's
Minus five
terrible.
stars.
Yeah, I mean, like I'd buy this for like $5, like just as
That's
a
what
joke.
I said. I literally said that.
Like, why does Mark Calloway have a shirt? Like, you didn't need to do that anyway. Well, I mean, like
So
you
do
could
you
have
ever
made
meet him?
like an Undertaker.
Call him Mark or do you call him Take?
Undertaker. You call him Undertaker. You don't call CM Punk Phil. Hey Phil, nice to meet you, Phil. No, you don't call
I don't
Undertaker
know.
Mark.
You call Undertaker Mark. And on
Hey
that,
Undertaker. Hey Mark.
we're out of here.
What a Mark. Anyway, all right, that's it. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Bye.